And I think that's why it's very easy for a lot of people to predict them as an 8 to 10 win football team. And it's a very safe prediction. It's a team that probably has a pretty high floor, but I don't know that it has a low ceiling. I think it also has a high ceiling, but I'll say they have to stay healthy.
What was your mentality going into the showcase this summer?
Yeah, I think just showing a bit more on my defensive side of the game. I think a lot of people know what I can do on the offensive side, but just trying to improve my defensive side and showing that I can do that. And, once I coming into my sophomore year, it's another thing that I really want to showcase is that I'm a very good 200-foot defenseman, that I can play hard all over the ice.
Middle of August, move-in weekend in Happy Valley, and we get ready for football season. Continue to get ready for football season. A scrimmage is in the books. Brian Tripp, former Nittany Lion quarterback Christian Hackenberg with you again this week here on Statewide. If it's your first time watching, or maybe it's your second or your third and you have not subscribed yet, make sure you find that button somewhere down here and subscribe to our channel and subscribe to our feed. I guess we should give full disclosure, Hack. We recorded promos and both you and I pointed to the wrong corner when we originally recorded the promo. So now we really play it safe anytime we do it. But how you doing?
Just cover all of our bases, all 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. You're at the beach, finishing off your summer travels, I assume?
Yeah, I left on Saturday, was able to take in most of the scrimmage on Saturday at West Shore Home Field at Beaver Stadium, and then made the trek down to the Outer Banks for a couple of days and was able to get away with the family one last time.
That a boy, before the madness starts. That's the funny thing is, like, right now I'm in hyper like planning mode with my wife, cross-referencing and trying to get everything blocked out that needs to be blocked out. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a fanatical outdoorsman. So blocking off all the hunting seasons and openers and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm just in like scramble mode, and hopefully I get 2 more weekends here where I could blow off some steam, catching some rays on the beach myself.
I've been on the field and I've been in the training room. I know what it takes to get back stronger. And that's why I'm proud to tell you about PAM Health, the official rehabilitation partner of Penn State Athletics and Penn State Football. For more than 20 years, PAM Health has helped people recover from injuries, illness, and surgery with focused physical, occupational, and speech therapy so they can reach their full potential. And in June, PAM Health is opening a new state-of-the-art rehabilitation center near Penn State in the Harrisburg area, serving patients from across the region with excellent care close to home. Whether you're rehabbing from a tough play, a medical setback, or getting back to everyday life, PAM Health is there with you every step of the way. Make sure you guys visit pamhealth.com to learn more.
Before we are hosting that pregame show outside of Beaver Stadium and getting ready for the opening kickoff against Marshall.
Correct.
It'll be here before you know it.
I know. I'm actually excited about that pregame show too. I don't know how much we can disclose, but it's going to be a good group, and it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, well, what we can share is that with Jason Kabinda, I think everyone's either seen the news, or if you haven't seen the news, we loved working with Jason the last 2 years, but he's going to be the lead analyst on the CW's game coverage for ACC's Game of the Week on the CW. So we're excited for him. We know that he has a really bright future in the industry, but we're really going to miss him. But we do have a former Nittany Lion. I'm not going to say anything more, but we have a new former Nittany Lion taking his place in the pregame show this year.
Pregame show is going to be electric. We had that call last week. I think it's going to be what the people wanted, you know? And to your point, Jason has done a great job, and I've loved working with Jason. And part of this whole thing too is, you know, I think he's a cool story, like getting him involved, and then using this as a springboard. Like, that's how I envisioned when we first started crafting like what state media would be. So cool call out and a cool success story there for Jason, and best of luck as he continues down the path of stardom in a different realm now.
Well, if anyone hasn't had an opportunity to watch him on some of the NFL Network programming, some of the things that I know he did at ACC Media Day, or has watched him with us, and whether it's on the Pocket here from State Media or some of the other things that he's done with us, love his analysis, love his insight. I guess I'll tip the hand here just one more time, though. It's going to be an offensive slanted pregame show.
That's it. I like it.
It's gonna be we're replacing him with a former Nittany Lion who played on the offensive side of the football.
Correct. Guy I'd have killed to play with.
Yeah. He can make a quarterback look pretty good.
Yeah. I played with some good ones, but a guy I would have killed to play with myself.
All right, coming up on the show here today, we're going to talk about football camp so far, some of the things that we've been able to take away, our impressions of the team, also what Matt Campbell has shared during his media availabilities. I was inside the stadium. I know there's a little buzz this week as they announced the change to the seating chart and sections for the upcoming season, but I've now been inside the stadium here less than a month till opening this 2026 season, so I can give you my impressions of what that new west side looks like, and then we'll talk to Jackson Smith from the Penn State hockey team, coming off an 11-goal season as a defenseman, most goals in a single season by a Penn State defenseman, first-round pick. You know, with all the buzz about Gavin McKenna, when you're asked the trivia question, who was the first-round draft pick in the history of Penn State hockey, don't forget the answer to that question is actually Jackson Smith, who's going to be our guest on this week's show.
That's a good one. I hope it's used at some of those trivia days downtown this year. And then we got some women's soccer highlights too, I believe, right? Women's soccer, kicking it off. We talked about that last week. They got it done. I guess you could say got it done. Respectable against a top 2 ranked team up there in South Bend. So that's good too. But I want to know what your perspective is of the stadium, because I haven't been up since everything's been done. I've seen the pictures that everybody else has seen. I think it's going to be ridiculously loud. But what's the deal?
All right, when you're talking about the noise of the stadium, I'm just going to start by talking about the sound system. The sound system still comes out of the south end zone, but what I was told is the speakers now are more directional. So in the past, and for anyone who's been to NFL stadiums or a more probably modern stadium, you have speakers that are above every section in the stadium. A lot like, and there are other stadiums in college football and even in the NFL. For instance, Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, most of their sound comes from the speakers that are on the city or the river side of the stadium. And that music or public address announcements, it comes out of there. So for Beaver Stadium, it's the same thing out of the south end zone. But those speakers are now more directional, which should help preserve some of the folks that are sitting in that south end zone in either the suite level on the second deck or the third deck, preserve their hearing a little bit better. But it is more dispersed. And this is in a fairly empty stadium. When I was in there, it's more dispersed around the venue. And you certainly notice the clarity of the sound. It is, the bass is better, but it comes with clarity. It's not that thumping, over-modulated noise. So the sound system itself, when you talk about noise, is better. But then the second you walk through the tunnel and out onto the field, or you walk up one of the tunnels and go into the seating bowl, if you're sitting on the south, the east, or the north side, the first thing you notice is just how big the structure is on the new west side. You can see it from the exterior. I think anyone who's been around it and has watched it kind of grow and go up. But until you're in there at field level, what you don't realize is how close the seats really are to the action. So I think what's been the buzz this week is so many people have shared pictures, shared videos. The reporters had a chance to go in, and they're sharing the pictures from the highest points of that new west side. Well, there is no question when you look at the Nittany Lion weather vane, or you look at the north end zone, and those seats, the top level, the top rows in the top level, they tower over those areas. So it's high. But the thing that's most impressive is the proximity to the field. everything is pushed out and over that lower level a little bit. And I just think it's going to be a wall that contains sound. It's going to amplify sound. And then if you have a seat on that west side, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with what your perspective is to watch a football game. But it really does. It takes your breath away as to what that structure looks like when you're in there. And then just the magnitude and size of it is really, really incredible.
I can't wait for week one. And then to your point about the speakers, man, I know standing on the sidelines last year for a couple of those games, brother, I think I vibrated for like 3 days after that. It was just like constant, like, in my head. It was like I was hooked up to a defibrillator for 4 quarters. So excited about that getting fixed and addressed.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you need to know about this? I think the perspective of your seats, whether you're in the club level, what I guess will now be the 3rd level, and then the 4th level, if you have a seat on that side, I think it's going to be a different view and a different perspective, but I think you're really going to enjoy the view because it is looking more out over the field instead of just that steady arc back that you had in the previous edition of Beaver Stadium, or something that you have, if you go to the Big House at Michigan, it's one bowl. It's going to feel more modern. I think the amenities, while they may not be totally complete for this season, like the concession stands, the bathrooms, everything that's going to be underneath the bowl, but to get a structure of that size, the seats in place, and have it open. And this is a testament to last year to really not reduce capacity that much with the temporary seating, but then to come up with a plan for this year to have that part done and then be able to have the largest stadium in North America. I think it's a testament to the planning that went into this, so it didn't impact the environment and the result of what you could have inside that facility.
Yeah, I know the first reaction I had when I saw some of those videos from up top, like top, that's like the best coach's view on the planet. Like I would love to sit up there and just watch practice or a game from like the top corner. It's unbelievable. But
as a fan, okay, let me ask this, and people can comment and they can chime in on social media. Okay, since you've been away from playing the game, and I'm not sure how many times you've truly sat in a seat in a stadium. Maybe I should ask that question first, but where is the best view, in your opinion, to watch a game as a former player? Where do you enjoy sitting to watch a game the most?
It would either be the perspective I just said, like high up, and it's just because it's the way I've watched hundreds of thousands of reps, is like high up, seeing the whole field, I guess, like longitudinally, if that's even a word, like seeing the field that way, or similarly from the end zone. That's why, like when I watch the games when I'm on the sideline, I stand pretty much like, if I can, underneath the goalpost every time, just because I get the back copy and you can really see how like run fits and stuff work out. And then usually you can kind of see, depending if the offense is coming towards us, you really see the defensive structures better. But that's just me. I mean, it's hard for me to like watch a game and just like not look at those things. But I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir for all former players there. But
yeah, I obviously have a very unique perspective of being on the sidelines during the game. And my goal during any broadcast with Steve and Jack is to be an extra set of eyes, an extra set of ears, and try to pick up some things, whether it's between the white lines and what's happening on the field, or from a conversation between maybe a position coach and a player on the sideline, and add those in to amplify the broadcast. I enjoy that. I enjoy getting to be at the line of scrimmage and hear and feel the plays. But in terms of truly having an understanding, I'll go home at the end of games and I can't tell you, and this is someone who's a part of the broadcast calling the game and truly engaged in what is going on every single play. There are times where I will need to watch a game back, or at the very least go through a summary of a play-by-play or of a box score to truly remember what happened during the game, because there's so much happening on the field and you don't get the perspective. For me, I think the best spot to watch a game, and while, yes, there's something to being close to the action and being able to feel it, being able to see the players, see their faces when they take the helmet off. But I think if you can get to that and maybe it's just because I've worked in the media through the years, but you get into that second level or that third level and you get that press box view where you can see a play develop, and the same thing you're talking about, where you can see the different chess pieces on the field. That's the view I enjoy most. And I think that's really a view that's been added at the new Beaver Stadium on that west side, and something that's been missing for years inside that stadium. So I think the people who are on that west side in that second and third deck are really going to enjoy that view.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally coach's copy. And it's very easy to see things. Like it is crazy. Yeah. I to answer your question too about the last time I actually sat in the state. I mean, I think maybe for like 5 minutes with my kids and my wife before they threw temper tantrums and we went to the Letterman Lounge. Everything else has been sideline. So when I'm in the sideline, I like to at least get upfield and try to get either the head on or diagonal view of it. But
yeah, and I know not everyone's going to get a chance to experience that new west side, and I get the history that Beaver Stadium has, and I have a deep respect for the history, but I feel like the way that this has been constructed, it's going to amplify and enhance the stadium without being something that takes away from the magic of the venue. And now we'll see, once all the suites and clubs are done, what that energy is going to be like inside the stadium. But I think going into 2026, and I think Pat Kraft said the other week that they've kind of passed the third quarter here and they're entering the fourth quarter of the stadium renovation. People should be really excited. If there was consternation at the beginning of the project, people should be really excited about what the look and feel of the stadium is going to be like.
Yeah, for sure. They did do a great job. And I think I agree with you. They didn't completely nuke it. It was very methodical. And like, guys, I'm just excited to see when it's absolutely rocking at 8 p.m. what that's going to sound like. That's where I'm at.
Well, based on what I've seen so far, I know you've talked to a lot of people, and now having an opportunity to go to a couple of practices and the scrimmage the other day, I think people have reason to believe that they will have a chance to rock this year. The more I watch, the more I get an understanding. And look, we've heard all the comments from the players. We've heard from Matt Campbell. We've heard from the coaching staff. But the more you're around it and the more you get to watch it on a daily basis, the more bullish I get about the team. And heck, I know every team, it takes 22 guys, it takes 3 units playing complementary football. But anytime you have, what's been most impressive to me, anytime you have a leader like Rocco Becht, it's a really good starting point. And I think there is no question, he's played over, I think the stat is more than 2,500 snaps of college football. Anytime you have a quarterback who's thrown for 63 touchdowns, ran for 19 in his collegiate career, the numbers and the resume kind of speak for themselves. But getting a chance to see him operate up close and personal and see his skill set, eyes are always down the field, throws a very catchable ball, throws a really nice deep ball. And he just seems like a really good fit for the personnel that they have around him as well. Look, I think this team could go pretty far, whether Rocco Becht is out there or Alex Mansky's out there. It's not just a one-man operation, but if you're talking about a really encouraging starting point for the success of what this team's going to be, from what I've seen from Rocco Becht the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks, people should be really excited knowing that's the quarterback, that's QB1, that's the signal caller for your operation. And whenever you have that and you feel really good about that spot, that's a really good starting point.
Let me ask you this, as someone who's like been around it, right? Is this a fair comparison or is this a stretch? Kind of like my 2013 team, but like a little bit deeper and a way more veteran signal caller in terms of upside. Because when I think back about that season, I've watched that season over a couple times now in my life. Like, we were really the ball bouncing one way or the other from being like a 10-win team that year. Outside of getting our doors blown in by Ohio State, we were in pretty much every football game. And there were arguments of that. And that's again, with a young quarterback and just a thin roster overall. Is that a fair comparison? Do you have a better one?
It's hard to say because I'm trying to think back through the games that season. I know where you're going with like the early season. Man, I think you put me on the spot. I don't have an answer to that one. When I look at the team and the general makeup of it, there's such a fine balance. I think this is what you're talking about. There's a balance between you have a lot of really experienced players who have been productive, but have been productive at other spots, right? Brock Reicher could be an example along the offensive line at center. Benjamin Bramer can be that example at tight end. Chase Sowell and Brett Eskildson can be that example at wide receiver. Carson Hansen, people probably don't realize how good he is, can be that example at running back. But you also are counting on younger players, and in this case, it's not the signal caller, but for this team to really fulfill its full potential, Malachi Goodman, who we talked about last week, has to have a good football season. Kobe Howard or Zay Robinson, or Karan Brookings has to have a good season. They need someone else besides Eskildson and Sowell at wide receiver, right? You probably need a young defensive end to step up and be a complementary piece to have a good season. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like you got a veteran mix of players who I'm really comfortable with and confident in. But if you're asking for just them to do it, you need other pieces that can either be depth pieces or players who have to rise to the occasion to fill a couple of holes that you don't have veterans at. And I don't remember what your feeling was going into 2013 and how you perceived the roster, maybe as well as you do. But that's kind of my summation of what my understanding of this group is.
I think that's fair. I think more so too, like just like the temperament, right? Because I think a lot of the conversation around this team is intangible with just how Coach Campbell's come in and really impressed his thought processes and his approach. He's brought guys and leaders in the locker room who can do the same. And it's this weird combination, I guess, is what I'm trying to describe, but I can't really do it that well. Yeah. But it's this weird combination of like, it's not an elite team talent-wise, but it's really, really good. And they're not like the deepest team ever, but they're deep enough. And like, if they come together as a team, they're going to beat some teams that they probably shouldn't beat just by being a better, like a well-tuned machine, right? Like it's like you got Ferraris that are tuned perfectly. But this is like a Ferrari that's been sitting in a garage for a little while that you might need to do some tinkering with. But if you hit the tinkering, it can run with anybody. That's kind of maybe the best metaphor I could throw out there.
I think it's a really solid team when you go position by position and you look at the starting 22 and then also on special teams. I think Nathan Tice is going to be really good at punter. I know there was one kind of viral social media clip that went out with him shanking one at practice. I specifically watched it the other day. He's really good punter, and he's got a lot of options because he can do a straight on high spiral kick, or if you want to rugby him because of his Australian rules background side to side, like you can do some different things with him. And then with Ryan Barker, who we talked about, Mr. Reliable, one of the best returning kickers in all of college football. I think the starting 22 is really solid. Do they have a maybe time will tell. Maybe Carson Hansen, Benjamin Britt. But do you go into the year with a Jeremiah Smith? No.
Like they don't have that magic. You don't have that known superstar.
One magic eraser.
Yeah.
And Rocco Becht's really good, and Carson Hansen's really good, and Brett Eskildson's going to be really good. Same on defense, Tony Rojas and Davian Collins and Marcus Neal. But I feel like going into the year, you can't just point to them and go, okay, that's this team's Chase Young, right? That's this team's Abdul Carter. That's this team's Tyler Warren. I think there's a lot of guys that maybe after 4 weeks, we might be having a different conversation about them, because I think there's some players that probably don't get enough credit as they deserve it. And as you watch them and you see them perform up close, you get a chance to see them go through their work on a daily basis. There's certain guys that really flash. I know Matt talked about it last week in his press conference, seeing it a little bit more consistently. It's one thing to flash, but to do it at very high level consistently is probably the thing that they're looking for. So I think that's kind of the next step for the group. And I think that's why it's very easy for a lot of people to predict them as an 8 to 10 win football team. And it's a very safe prediction. It's a team that probably has a pretty high floor, but I don't know that it has a low ceiling. I think it also has a high ceiling, but I'll say they have to stay healthy. Yeah. If you look at the roster, and again, this is just from me watching a couple of practices, I think, and this is probably what we knew going in because of what they had to address with the loss of a recruiting class and the portal and what it meant. I think the question about depth at quarterback has been answered. Alex Szymanski's probably ready if they need him. Running back, receiver, tight end, you're fine. I'd say offensive line, the same things we've talked about. If you're worried about depth, you can't afford to lose guys on the offensive line and at defensive end. I think they're probably 6 deep at defensive tackle, which is a really good thing. But those are 2 areas you can't really afford significant losses. But that doesn't mean that it's not a good football team. It is a really good football team.
Yeah, I think it's almost the sum of all the pieces make up the stardom of it, right? Like it's the sum of all the really goods kind of has like the whole team elite. And I guess that's where I'm getting at with it. But that's interesting. Yeah. Getting your perspective from it. Cause again, I haven't gotten a chance to get up there, but hopefully this week at some point. But that's kind of the same wavelength I've been hearing. Like teams they got a shot. So
yeah,
that's good to hear.
And I think it will be interesting to see how they handle the first couple of weeks of the season, assuming the games start to go the direct. And you can never assume in college football. We saw that last year, right? I think we were in a game with FIU going into the second half. But if the games go the way you expect them to go, what does that allow Matt Campbell and Taylor Mauser to do on the offensive side? And what does it allow them to do at certain positions on both sides of the football to give meaningful reps to players who might need meaningful reps in those situations?
Yeah.
And I think they'll have to be strategic about it. You have to go out and win the game and take care of your business first, and you want to develop your chemistry and continuity. But in this case, being an unknown quantity is not a bad thing for this team going into the year, because I think internally and being around them and seeing how they operate, they know what they have. And I think fans and maybe the rest of the nation very soon are going to find out what they have as well.
Let's go. Roll the ball out. Lights on.
I know we can only talk about it so much. It's still that same, we've gotten some eyes on it at this point. I know you'll get some eyes on it here in the near future too. We've gotten some eyes on it at this point, but there's still only so many things you can extrapolate from a practice to what you'll see in a game. Iowa State was 8-4 last year and 5-4 in the Big 12. A lot of those players are going to take on major roles for Penn State this year. Penn State last year was 6-6 and won the Pinstripe Bowl at the end of the year to get to 7-6. I think it's tough to really, and I don't know that those records mean anything in this case, but I think the sum of all these parts they brought together, the way the coaches brought it together, the way that I think the community is going to rally behind them, and the Lettermen have already, like yourself, have already rallied behind them. I think the sum of all the parts is not just the parts of the football team. I think it's all the parts that make Penn State powerful and Penn State special have a chance to help make this a special season. Yeah. Beyond what we see just on the football field and between the white lines.
Yeah, and I think we keep going back to that light schedule, and that's an element of it too. And that's like, I really don't have expectations to have a real good definitive direction of like who this team's going to be until at least week 4. Mm-hmm. So there's that element of it too. But I'm just excited because of all those things you said to watch it develop. Like that's the thing. A lot of programs and a lot of fan bases want to have that definitive direction. These are going to be our guys, blah, 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 so that they can have something to hang on to. I'm more intrigued by the unknown of what this is all going to look like that heading into this season, which is, I've said this before, but it's truly this now, like top to bottom. And everything that I've been around and comparing that to other experiences I've had leads me to believe that it could be, to your point, really, really good. But that's why we show up. That's why we show up on Saturdays to watch it. So
there's a theme here, and this is going to be a really smooth professional transition to our interview with Jackson Smith. But the theme here is I think it's a group that has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder and is flying a little bit under the radar. And one of the questions that I'm going to ask Jackson Smith from the Penn State hockey team here, I got my Hockey Valley Frozen 4 shirt on today down here at the shore. But one of the questions I'm going to ask Jackson Smith is how the team dealt with being the team with the target last year. And what was it like going in with the anticipation, knowing you were going to get everyone's best game every time, that you were the team that everyone was gunning for and a team that everyone was talking about, not only going into the season, but throughout the course of the season, where almost every game was taken apart microscopically because of who was on the team. And then what I wanted to find out from Jackson, just because I feel like the noise and the environment around the hockey team this August, I'm assuming this September, this October is going to be a little bit different than last year. What he feels like the environment and the attitude and the perspective, the mindset is going into this year. So that's what I want to take away from Jackson Smith. It's one of my takeaways from Jackson Smith as we are joined by the Nittany Lions sophomore defenseman and first-round pick of the Columbus Blue Jackets right here on Statewide. This week, we're joined by Penn State hockey defenseman Jackson Smith, who goes into his sophomore year this fall. Will very soon be back on campus here in Hockey Valley. Jackson, appreciate the time. How's your summer been?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great, man. A lot of training, a lot of fun, and I'm excited to get back and ready to get going and meet the new guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of people could see, because of your size and your skating ability and that shot you have, the ability to transfer your skills from the Canadian hockey leagues into college hockey. But going into your second year, what are some things that you picked up in your first year where you feel more comfortable going back into the fall this year than maybe when you came in bright-eyed as a freshman a year ago?
Yeah, I think a lot of maturity. The maturity levels are definitely there. I think, I just know what I'm getting into a bit more. So I'm more prepared for the start of the season and more prepared for what college hockey's like. But I think just learning this new group, trying to be a leader out there and trying to show the new guys a little bit of what Penn State's about and, just trying to be a big piece of this team and to try to go all the way.
What has it been like trying to get to know some of the new guys from all over the country, all over the globe, really over the summer? I know only a few guys have been able to get to campus. So how have you guys been able to bond, create that chemistry, even though you haven't been on the ice together?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we talk quite a bit. I mean, our whole team's talking quite a bit. We're always texting. I just kind of know him. I was just with Shea Bush this past week and a half ago at World Juniors Camp, so that was awesome. I mean, I played with him before in a couple little tournaments and played against him, but he's a great guy. And then, just texting with a lot of the other guys and, kind of having a little bit of fun with them in the group chat, making some jokes that maybe they don't get yet because they haven't been at school, but, they'll learn to get. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and it's cool to be in these shoes and kind of mess with the freshmen when I was getting messed with back then. So it's a lot of fun.
I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit about Shea from what you saw in his game at the World Junior Showcase over the summer.
Yeah, he's an amazing player. That's my first time that I've seen him in a while. Of course, I didn't watch him too much when he was at Everett, but he's a big body, built like a tank, man. He's big and he moves well, and he has a really good brain on him. And I think he complements a lot of top guys really well. You saw him there playing on the top line out there. And he did a great job. So I'm excited to see what he can do in college.
What was your mentality going into the showcase this summer?
Yeah, I think just showing a bit more of my defensive side of the game. I think a lot of people know what I can do on the offensive side, but I'm just trying to improve my defensive side and showing that I can do that. And, once I coming into my sophomore year, it's another thing that I really want to showcase is that I'm a very good 200-foot defenseman, that I can play hard all over the ice.
As a first-round pick, what are the conversations like throughout the course of the year, throughout the course of the summer with Columbus in deciding what you should work on with your game? What's that relationship like as they discuss what your options are as you continue to progress through your hockey journey?
Yeah, it's really good. I talk a lot, especially with one of their player development scouts, Tommy Cross. We do a lot of work together, a lot of video work, and just a lot of chopping it up. But yeah, no, it's good. He's been a huge help, and it's just kind of balancing out my game. I mean, they love how I play. They love that I create offense and I'm able to jump into play, and they want me to use my tools. It's just balancing that out and playing that full 200 feet, like I said, and just being a complete defenseman. And that's what I want to do.
Couple more of the heavy hitters here to get out of the way. What was that first year like? I mean, it was a great year for you and your teammates on campus. Got to play in front of 75,000 people at Beaver Stadium, make it to a regional. I know it didn't end the way you guys were hoping for, but there were a lot of high moments, and also had to learn from some adversity throughout the year. So describe to me the first year playing college hockey.
It was amazing, man. Like, honestly, I tell everybody this. That was the best year of my life. It was incredible. So much fun. It was a different environment, really cool environment, getting to play in all these cool stadiums and amazing rinks that are here. And, of course, like you said, playing at Beaver Stadium in front of 75,000, of course, just came up short. But, it was an amazing year. I learned so much, and I think I matured a lot. Got to learn from a lot of great leaders that we had on the team last year. And like you said, we went through a lot of adversity, I think, with injuries, and, there's a lot of attention on us. There's a lot of media going around us, and it can be tough to deal with for sure. Just a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. I think I can deal with the pressure really well. Overall, it was all I could have ever asked for and more. I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to go through it with.
What did you learn from Gavin, and what was it like seeing him go first overall?
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, I learned a lot from him, a lot on the ice and a lot off the ice. It's really cool to compete against him in practices, and then get to see what he does in the games. And off the ice, he's just like any one of us. He's an amazing dude, and I hung out with him a ton, and it was I played with him in a couple tournaments before, but it was really good to have a full season to really get to know the guy and become really close with him, and to get him to see him go first overall. I mean, I know it's what he was hoping for, and we were all hoping for him. So to get to see him actually accomplish that, it was amazing. It felt like an accomplishment for us all, but it was really cool to see him get to do that, and I'm super excited to see what he gets to do in the future.
If you could have a redo, he had Justin Bieber announce him first overall. Which musical artist would you have announce your selection if you could have a redo back to last summer?
Probably like Tate McRae or something.
Have you ever played against your brother? He was a captain at Dartmouth this past year.
I've not played against him, but
and they're from Calgary too, right?
He's from Calgary, yeah. Exactly. But Ulmer Shea knows him. Shea knows him pretty well, and he played. Used to play on Okotoks, I believe. Was a captain there, so I watched him when I was younger on Okotoks. So I know him. I can't say I know him personally, but I've only heard good things.
Did you go to any concerts this summer?
Yeah, I did. Me and Shay actually went to two together. We went to Post Malone, and then we also went to a Fisher concert. And then we had Stampede here, so I went to a couple there.
Yeah, tell people who aren't from Canada what the Stampede, as best you can describe here to our audience. Describe what the Stampede is.
Yeah, it's basically just like it's a 10-day festival in Calgary. The biggest outdoor show in the world. There's a rodeo that goes on for 10 days, and big venue, and then they have a bunch of tents that have a lot of very, very cool, really good music artists. Like John Summit was here, John Party, a lot of country house music. It's a really fun time, and it's a couple of the guys this year came down, and you get to see a lot of your buddies that you don't get to see a ton who come down, and it's a really good time. So
it's a bucket list thing for sure, right? For any American watching this?
Yeah, 100%.
Where else in Canada do we need to go? I mean, I want to go to Banff. Where else do we need to go?
Yeah, I mean, Banff and Canmore, those are two amazing spots. And then, of course, Stampede. It's hard not to say Toronto. I mean, Toronto's a cool spot. It's kind of what everybody knows about Canada is Toronto. So that's a cool spot. But honestly, anywhere in Canada. I was at the Yukon this summer to visit Gavin. it was special. I mean, I've never been to a place like that before, and there's nothing else like it. It's just like trees and water, and there's a little bit of a town, but that's about it. But yeah, it's an incredible place. I had an amazing time out there, and but yeah, no, there's a lot of cool spots in Canada that are definitely spots that I would suggest.
Well, I think we saw on the documentary about Gavin that aired during the Stanley Cup Finals how much family means to him and how much of an outdoors area that is. So what'd you guys do? Fly fish? Did you take the dirt bikes out? What'd you do?
We went fishing, not fly fishing, but we went fishing for a full day. His uncle had a boat, and we were all on the boat, so that was a great time. We went jet skiing. He had some jet skis there, and went ATVing and side-by-siding. So it was a great time, and we went hiking, of course, too. But yeah, no, it was good to be with somebody who has the fun stuff to do, but knows how to get around. So yeah, he took us to some really cool spots, and it was a trip I'll never forget.
Speaking of cool spots, with your experience in hockey, it's been able to take you many places. Where's the coolest place that you've been able to go outside of playing at Beaver Stadium and playing at Pagula? Where's the coolest spot that hockey's taken you?
Yeah, I think it was a World Selects tournament when I was like 12 years old. I went to Bolzano, Italy. So that was really cool. I had never been to Italy, and got to go with my grandparents. Actually, they took me out there, and we came just short, lost in the semifinals. But it was a really cool event, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and food out there is incredible. So,
is this right after you gave up swimming competitively? I know that was a thing for a long time.
Yeah. I think that was maybe a year after maybe it was that year that I quit. But yeah, no, it was right around there.
Yeah, for our audience that may not know, you were a pretty good swimmer as a young kid, right?
Yeah, no, it was that was something that I did since I was young. Did competitive swimming from when I was like 5 years old till, like you said, I think I was about 12. But yeah, no, it was fun. Of course, I always thought hockey. I mean, I played a bunch of sports growing up, but those are probably the two that I was best at. And yeah, I'm very glad that I got to do that, and I think it helped me with hockey a lot too.
Being a Canadian, and I know, look, most of the sports have carryover from the United States and North America up to Canada, but you get to go to so many different events at Penn State. What was the coolest non-hockey event that you and your teammates had a chance to go to, or an event that you had a chance to experience last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say the football games. Like, those football games are really cool, tailgating and having fun and getting to see like everybody before, and then going to those games. We got lucky enough to be here for the whiteout last year, so seeing that was incredible. But I think also the volleyball was really cool. I hadn't really seen volleyball live before. I mean, it's pretty cool. The atmosphere in there is sick. I mean, just any sporting event you go to at Penn State has an incredible atmosphere, and it's just a lot of fun. There's always chants going on. It really feels like what college is. It feels like it's like out of a movie. So every sport that you get to go to is really fun.
What's the one thing you've missed most about State College over the summer that you're looking forward to when you get back? Is it a restaurant? Is there something, a special place where you go on campus? What's something that you've missed?
I'd probably just say just being around the boys, man. It's like, summer's good and all, but nothing compares to being at school and being with those guys and going to the cool restaurants and just waking up and going to have a bagel crust in the morning and just doing a lot of fun things with the guys. So I mean, I'm super excited to get back down there. It's the best place in the world. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see those guys and do all those fun stuff with them.
I think I see an NIL deal with a sandwich at Bagel Crust named after you in the very near future here.
Oh, I love that. That would be amazing. Make sure they get
what's the go-to
sauce on the side.
Yeah, what is the go-to?
Depends. I probably like the Hangover the best. Mm-hmm. I mean, tough name, but yeah, it's really good. It's like sausage. I don't even know what it's all on it, but it's unbelievable. And then you got to get I think it's Chipotle sauce on the side. The Chipotle sauce really makes it good. So it's a great thing to have in the morning.
All right. If they're watching this right now, hopefully they take advantage of that.
Get me set up. That'd be awesome.
Let's get that hooked up. You talk about the sense of community and being at a college and being at a special place like Penn State. you obviously get to experience it as an athlete on the ice, whether it's at Pagula, supporters on the road supporting Penn State, the outdoor game last year at Beaver Stadium. But isn't it incredible when you go to a tailgate and you see, like, obviously they fill Beaver Stadium and the atmosphere is unbelievable, but generations of people just connecting over, yeah, there's a football game at the end of the day, but you really get a sense of how the community supports and is unified by one place. Just that setting on a football Saturday, it's incredible.
Oh, it's the best. I remember last year, since football, a lot of it, like we wouldn't be playing games yet. So Saturday morning we have workout and then skate, and then it would be like, I don't know, 10:30, 11, we're leaving the rink, walking back to the dorms to get all dressed. Like we're hustling out of the rink so we can get all dressed up and get to the tailgates. And you're walking back and you see thousands of cars and people just walking, and you're like, holy cow, like this is crazy. I remember the first time just seeing that. This is, I was in shock. Like, you hear about it, but once you see it, you're like, this is absolutely insane. So getting to do that, it's a lot of fun. And just like you said, seeing the community unite. And there's just like a bunch of, it's got everybody, from our age to, there's 80-year-olds that are there watching the games. It's, they're sitting at the tailgate from 12 till the game starts, even if it's an 8 o'clock game. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool to see. And, it's awesome.
Jackson, let's bring it back to hockey to wrap it up. You talked about all the expectations going into last season. Look, it's a place like Penn State. There's always an expectation for excellence and to win. What is the feeling, though, going into this year with such a new group? Do you even have a sense of what that feeling's like yet before you get back to campus?
Not really. I mean, honestly, I think we're a bit more of an underdog this year, which is honestly, it's nice. It's cool to be doubted. It's fun to be doubted. I think you get to go out there and show what you can do. I think last year it's just every game. It's like, if we lose a game, oh, there they go. Like, you go online and everything's just, throwing us in the gutter. So I think this year it's going to be a lot of fun, proving a lot of people wrong and showing us what we can do. But yeah, like you said, it's a new group of guys. So it's just getting them adjusted. I know CHL guys really well, and they're all unbelievable dudes. So I'm not worried about them one bit, and I'm not worried about this group one bit.
And some new guys coming in that I know like to get up and down the ice and like to shoot the puck. That's going to fit right in with what you guys do.
Exactly, man. It'll be perfect. They'll score a lot of goals.
We get a chance to talk, myself and Christian Hackenberg, who played at Penn State and played in the NFL. We get a chance to talk to a lot of athletes on this show. And Christian played college football here at Penn State in 2013. It was his first season. And, at that time, social media, it existed, but it maybe wasn't as prevalent in so many different forms as it is in today's society. Just because you brought it up, how do you manage that as an athlete? You're a NHL prospect. You and your teammates went through a lot last year. How do you manage that as a young athlete, knowing that that's something that you probably can't totally block out because it is such a way of life? So how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think just like you said, it's how it's going to be from now on. I mean, social media it's huge. So no matter what you do, you're either going to, there's going to be a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, probably more bad things than good things. People see one mistake and they take it and run with it. They see a good thing. It's like, okay, well, there's one, but it's just managing your emotions. You can't get too high and you can't get too low. You gotta stay level. And not worrying about that stuff. It's like you said, it's hard to block out, but trying your best just to keep that out of the way so you can focus on you and your team. Because at the end of the day, that's if you focus on that and you guys start winning, you start playing good, that's when the good stuff's going to come out. If you start worrying about it too much, that's when the bad stuff's going to creep into your head, and it never goes good from there.
Best chance for your name to be on top of the board at the end of the 26-27 season: chess, darts, or ping pong?
Ping pong for sure. Definitely not chess. Darts, I mean, I honestly didn't play a ton of darts. I'm not bad at darts, but ping pong, like I remember after the season, like all the freshmen went out to Toronto for a little like trip for the freshmen. And we stayed at Lev Katzen's house in his basement. He had a ping pong table, and I'm pretty sure me and Ulmer at least played like 10 hours worth of ping pong trying to get, because Ulmer's at the top of the board. He's good. I beat him a couple times in Toronto. I started to get really good. So I'm excited to see my skills in action once I get down there. But yeah, no, I hope to be up there in ping pong.
How much do you think Gads was practicing over the summer?
Probably a little bit. It's not going to help him. I don't think he's. I can't even say anything. I don't think I've ever beat him. So, but yeah, no. It's. Hopefully this year I can take him down.
Jackson, thanks. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Hack, I can't wait to watch Jackson Smith and the hockey team this year. Again, maybe a little bit more of an under the radar team, but I think that's something that a team can rally around and can galvanize a locker room.
Yeah, I'm excited to get up there. We did the outdoor one with the boys this past winter, so hopefully we can get snugged up and cozied up inside of the Google Ice Arena this year. And they enjoyed it, though. They were excited, and I know my oldest was doing skating lessons. So this past winter, so roll that over. Definitely excited to go watch those guys. It's a fun sport. I had never been like a fan of it. Hadn't watched it really until I got to campus. So we've talked about that at nauseam as well. But the development of that program is phenomenal, and it's easy to get behind that brand and that product.
You're telling me. So when I was growing up, this is how I got into the sport. I watched the Legion of Doom with the Flyers. It was Eric Lindros and John LeClaire and Mikhail Renberg, and that was I grew up a Flyers fan. Eric Desjardins on the back end, but they never could get a goalie. You know, they had Brian Boucher in the early 2000s, who's now doing TV all the time. But after Ron Hextall, they never had that goalie to lead them to the promised land. That's how I got into it growing up, watching the Flyers back in the 90s and early 2000s. You weren't like a Ovechkin that's a little bit outside your wheelhouse?
I mean, nah, it was, I always respect greatness, and South Central Virginia, it was just like, I think we might have had one hockey rink or ice rink period that I could think of in Charlottesville. And then didn't know of another one. So it just wasn't like a cultural thing, but obviously Philly and Pittsburgh with the Pens and the Flyers, and you go up north to Buffalo. Like it's a much, my wife played ice hockey with the boys growing up here in Jersey even. So it is interesting seeing like that whole shift, but it just wasn't a thought process in where I grew up.
Two things before we wrap it up. Number one, how cool was it to see? I know it's not maybe exactly the same as what I grew up on a Sunday morning, flipping on CSN Philly or Channel 69, WFMZ, and watching the Penn State football story. How great was it to see that brought back?
Really good. When did we stop that?
Well, it was always produced by WPSU. And I know there's a lot of heavy lifting that goes into it. And I think sometime maybe around COVID, I think prior to that, it had transitioned from truly a half-hour Sunday morning television program, flip it after the highlights from Saturday's game were edited in. And then it went online for maybe a couple of years. Yeah. But then sometime, I would say 5 to 8 years ago, and that's something I should have known and looked up in preparation for this. But that's when it went away, and it's cool to see it back, because I know how much that meant. I mean, when you look at the growth of Penn State football and the brand, and it goes to Fran Fisher and Joe Paterno and TV quarterbacks and the Penn State football story to build out this statewide, and Tarman, athletic director, to build this out and build the brand. It was a big part of getting Penn State football, when every game wasn't televised, into homes and building the awareness of the program and what Penn State football was.
What I like about it, and I think it's this theme now, is retro is in, right? And I think, to your point, there's this nostalgic feel of that. and I didn't experience that the way that you do vividly. But there's this nostalgic feel of it, right? And I think it's always a good thing. And especially with everything that's going on there, from leadership change, specifically in the football facility and so forth and so on, like being able to hit as many touch points as humanly possible, even in today's day and age where you almost can't avoid it, but being able to bring something back that you have that emotional feeling with is super cool. So I think,
do you have any DVDs or VHSs of the Football Story episodes from when you played?
No, I don't. I think it's all on YouTube.
Okay. We got to make sure you get your hands on those.
Yeah. Be kind of cool. But I guess we got to call Nacho. Ask the people. I don't know. Everything that has to do with that stuff, I'm like, call Nacho. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right one, but it's the one I know.
All right. The other thing I want to address before we wrap it up, you led off the show. A good result for Penn State women's soccer to start the year. At number 2, Notre Dame had a 2-0 lead second half. Notre Dame scored, I think, in the 87th minute to end up rallying back and getting a draw for the match. Overall, you say go on the road at number 2 to kick off a new season. A draw is a good result. I'm sure Erica Dombach would have loved to see her team close it out, especially having a 2-0 lead in that game, or 2-0 lead in that game. But a really good result for the women's soccer team to start the new year and start the new era, the Adidas era.
Yeah, something you can build off of for sure. A loss would have been gut-wrenching, and I think it would have had a lot more conversations. Now there's no moral victories in ties or anything like that, but definitely something I think you can build off of. And to your point, especially with like the history of the program and where I think they want to end up at the end of the year, definitely got off on the right leg. Win would have been electric, but I don't think it hurt them. So,
all right, that wraps it up. Hope everyone moving in has a safe weekend. A fun, safe. I remember as a freshman moving into Geary Hall in East Halls.
You were in East? I lived in Pollock Commons, dude. Hartranft.
East. And then when I was there, you still had the Big Onion, the Big O, which is where you could go and you could watch games and get pizza. And then we'd go to West Wing for wraps. And then usually would eat, just the way my schedule worked out, would eat in West, at least for lunch, to get the soft chocolate chip cookies. That's what the common students did back in the day.
Hey, listen, I didn't have all the amenities these guys had. I mean, we had training table. The only time it wasn't even mandatory. I think the only time I went to it was for the breakfast for dinner options, and I was just swipe points in it up in the hub. That's what I did. So
Sbarro? There was a Chick-fil-A in the hub too.
Yeah, Sbarro, Panda Express. I was weirdly enough not proud of it. Burger King, because Deshaun Hamilton loved Burger King, so that was usually the jam. We did some Burger King.
Did you get the crown to wear?
Yeah. Walking through the hub with that'd be fantastic.
I'm sure that wouldn't have drawn any attention.
No, dude. But
6'5" freshman quarterback.
I do joke about this though, like. At least we didn't back in my day, like people were trying to extort you for some of your cameras and your moments of weakness, rather, shall I say. It was just kind of like got circulated and everyone laughed. Now it's a little bit different, but we got away with some things, but
I always say that my friends were just talking about this the other day, and I'm 37, graduated in 2011. I feel like probably grew up the perfect age in the 90s. Yeah, you had Game Boy, had some PlayStation, still had that dynasty mode going on Madden. But you were still going outside and playing kick the can and flashlight. This is a great conversation for another show. So I'm just going to tease this for next week. But it felt like, and then college age, at least had a cell phone, was able to text, but you weren't going around taking pictures and videos of everyone. And certainly wise enough to learn, understand, adapt, and utilize technology, although some of my friends may say otherwise. I truly feel like being born in 88, grew up at the perfect time, went to high school, perfect time, college, perfect time. When I was in high school athletics were huge in our small community. People, I think it's a shame today when I look and see venues and staying like the PIAA championships, attendance has been way down to my knowledge. Yeah. So it's a great conversation for maybe next week. So let's not go too deep into that, but let's pick it up there next week. All right. For Christian Hackenberg, Brian Tripp, thanks for watching this week's episode of Statewide.